Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I pay homage to Buddha Dhamma Sangha, homage to Bharabante, Guru Bante, Bhikshu Sangh. I give my metta to Upasakas, Upasikas, Samnera Nagarikas. So now is the time to listen to Dhamma, few words from the Sutta, from the Buddha's own word. So today the Sutta is Sabbasava Sutta, that is Asava. Asava means canker, and canker Buddha compare with a boil on your body. Suppose there is a boil, right, on your body, and it oozes. There is some liquid thing that comes out, and then it spread more. So something like that, a boil on your body. That is asava, canker. In the similar way, there is canker, this boil in our mind. And that is called canker. So, which you can call in simple word something which is not very healthy for your mind. Something that is unhealthy for your mind. So the Buddha was staying in Jetavana monastery. At that time he spoke this to the monks. And the Buddha says that I say that the ending of defilement is for one who knows and sees, not for one who does not know or see. For one who knows and sees, for one who knows and sees what? Rational application of mind and irrational application of mind. When you apply the mind irrationally, defilement arise, and once arisen, they grow. When you apply the mind rationally, defilements don't arise, and those that have already arisen are given up. Some defilements should be given up by seeing, some by restraint, some by using, some by enduring, some by avoiding, some by dispelling, and some by developing. So Buddha is saying that somebody end of defilement, right? So defilement and canker, they are quite same. So somebody who knows and sees, somebody who understands and see, for them the defilement goes away. Somebody who understands, and not for somebody who does not understand, And how to understand? Rational application and irrational application of mind. When you apply your mind with some rationality, which means some logic, some understanding, then your defilement increase or decrease, So, but then how do you do? So Buddha mentioning different ways. One by seeing, one by restraint, using, enduring, avoiding, dispelling. So different ways to decrease the defilements in the mind. That is as I said, that boil, that unhealthy thing in the mind. So first of all, first one, defilement given up by seeing. And what are the defilements that should be given up by seeing? Take an unlearned ordinary person who has not seen the noble ones and is neither skilled nor restrained in the teaching of the noble ones. They have not seen true person and are neither skilled nor trained in the teaching of the true person. They don't understand to which things they should apply the mind and to which things they should not apply the mind. And they apply the mind to things they shouldn't and don't apply the mind to which they should. And what are the things to which they apply the mind but should not? They are the things that when the mind is applied to them, give rise to unarisen defilements and make arisen defilement grow. The defilements of sensual desire, desire to reborn, ignorance, these are the things to which they apply the mind but should not. And what are the things to which they should not apply the mind but should, which they do not apply but should, do not apply the mind but should. They are the things that when the mind is applied to them, do not give rise to unarisen defilement and given up arisen defilements. The defilement of sensual desire, desire to be reborn, and ignorance. These are the things to which they do not apply the mind but should. Because of applying the mind to that, they should not, and not applying the mind to what they should, unarisen defilement arise and arisen defilement grow. This is how they apply the mind irrationally. So what Buddha is saying here is that somebody who doesn't see, so somebody who doesn't know the noble one, means somebody who has seen, who has understood, who are the seer, the rishis, So as you say rishi means what? Somebody who see. So you have to know, just like Buddha. Buddha is somebody who has seen and who has, as we say in the chanting, arahang. Arahang means somebody who has uprooted the enemy. And what is the enemy? The defilement in the mind. Defilements is what? Three kinds. Sensual desire, desire to be reborn in ignorance. Sensual desire, here sensual desire would be, you can say, something that you are generally addicted to, you can say, something that pulls you down, certain habits, pattern of yours, that kind of pulls you down. So also to be reborn, which means the desire to exist, it may sound little weird or little something different for you, but we have this desire to exist, but that doesn't mean you have to die, but we have this desire and continuation, we want to continue. And because we have that, certain addiction and certain continuation and ignorance, which is sometimes we don't know what we are thinking or what we want. We are not sure, something like that. Or what is good for me, what is not good for me. We are not clear. Okay, so this is the thing, and then why they arise? Why this sensual desire and this canker or this defilement arise? It is because of the application of mind. So you apply your mind. So where you apply your mind, see, wherever you apply your mind, there your mind goes, right? So, which means you have to know where you have to apply your mind, right? And wherever you apply the mind, your mind becomes like that, wherever, right? So Buddha is saying here some of the things where we apply our mind, which are not so much necessary, waste of time or something like that, What are they? Did I exist in the past? The first thing, sometimes people are so much caught up in this. Oh, did I exist in the past? What was my past? So much thing. Did I not exist in the past? What was I in the past? How was I in the past? After being what did I become in the past? Will I exist in the future? Will I not exist in the future? What will I be in the future? How will I be in the future? After being what will I become in the future? Or they are undecided about the present, thus am I not? What am I? Who am I? And this sentient being, where did it come from and where will it go? So this kind of question that we generally think, including sometimes the question of God. People are so much, everything somehow put around the existence of God, whether God exists, doesn't exist, who created, who is not created, who is God, who is not God. And so some of the thing, which means we sometime or most of the time apply our mind to something which is not at all necessary. We don't know why we are asking such questions. So in fact, you have to even know the question that comes up in your mind. Why am I asking this question? Why do I have such question? Is this question necessary? Because a lot of your energy goes into such questions, right? There are a lot of questions which are not even necessary. So all these things, right? You are like lost in the past, lost in the future, or even in the present also. Yeah, I get sometimes people asking this, I want to know who am I? This is the question that you get many a time, I want to know who am I? I want to search God. God should come in me. Something like this, you are so much occupied with that. But why? Why you want to know yourself? Why you want to know God? Right? So such question just keeps you circling and you are nowhere. When they apply the mind irrational in this way, one of the following 6 views arise in them and it takes as a genuine fact the view. Okay, so when you think like this, whatever is said before here, so eventually you develop a view, right? You develop a view. And every religion, including the so-called atheist, people who call themselves atheist, including them, and every single person comes up with certain view. And that's how the religion, non-religion, all of things starts. So what is the view? Myself survives. The view, myself does not survive. The view, I perceive the self with the self. The view, I perceive what is not self with the self. The view, I perceive the self with what is not self, or they have such view. The self of mine is he, the one who speaks, the one who knows, who experienced the result of good and bad deeds in all the different realms. This self is permanent, everlasting, eternal, and imperishable, and will last forever and ever. This is called a misconception, the thicket of views, the desert of views, the twist of views, the dodge of views, the fetter of views. An unlearned ordinary person who is fettered by views is not free from rebirth, old age, and death, and from sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, distress. They are not freed from suffering, I say. So, this is what Buddha is saying. So, you are caught up in this kind of, about yourself. I am like this, I am like that, or whatever, this whole business of I, right? Even when you talk about God, it's something that you are perceiving your own self, right? You are basically having this view. So you are caught up in this kind of view, and because you are caught up in this view, so what happens? You continue, and because you are continue, so you are caught up in this view, and because of that you are not free from birth, age, sickness, the real problem of life, which is again and again birth, or because of that there is aging, sickness, and then there is worry, tensions, all of this suffering. Basically the suffering. So you are not free from the suffering. But take a learned and noble disciple who has seen the noble ones and is skilled and trained in the teaching of the noble one. They have seen true person and are skilled and trained in the teaching of the true persons. They understand to which they should apply the mind and to which they should not apply the mind, and they apply the mind to think they should, and don't apply the mind to think they shouldn't. And what are the things to which they don't apply the mind and should not? They are the things that when the mind is applied to them give rise to unarisen defilements and make arisen defilement grow. The defilement of sensual desire to be reborn, and ignorance. These are the things to which they don't apply. And what are the things to which they do apply the mind and should? They are the things when the mind is applied to. So it's again repetition. So what are things they should apply the mind? This is suffering. This is the origin of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. This is the practice that leads to the cessation of suffering. And as they do so, they give up three fetters: substantial views, doubt, and misapprehension of precept and observance. These are called the defilement that should be given up by seeing. Okay. So where do you apply your mind? You don't apply to all these questions which are just speculative, you can say. Speculative in nature, and which are all centered around me and mine. So what you have to apply the mind, Buddha is saying, what is suffering? So you have to say, or you have to focus your mind on suffering, because that is the reality of human existence, right? Which is suffering. So we suffer in all different ways. Every single one of us, in some form or other, suffer. Like Buddha mentioned, birth, aging. So we take birth again and again. We are taking birth, and forget about the again and again birth. The very birth itself, how much we suffer, but we forgot. And then we are aging. With every age, with every different age, we have our own problem and suffering. And then sickness, of course, and then separation from beloved people, and there is sadness, depression, lamentation, sorrow, grief, all of that, So this is suffering. So then what is the cause of suffering? How suffering arises? So you have to see how this suffering comes in me. And this is something we have to see. And how it is ended, And what is the cause? As Buddha said, our own, as you can see here, the wrong application of mind. We don't apply on the mind, we don't apply our mind on the right place, which is, say, our own suffering and the origin of suffering, which is the craving, and ignorance. More than craving, it is ignorance, right? Ignorance is the one. So, as we did meditation, we can see, our mind, and we see how we suffer, or we have suffered, or we are suffering now, and and then it's not just our suffering. The third one, the cessation of suffering, which is the end of suffering. How suffering can end every moment, and in the present moment, and every moment of our life, and how we can eventually decrease our suffering, and we can be more happier. And what is the way to suffering? As Buddha said, the Noble Eightfold Path, right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right samadhi, concentration. So these are the things. So these four noble truths. So that is something we have to apply our mind. Why? Because it frees us from suffering. Right? I think that is according to Buddha, that is the only you can say the focus, or that is something that kind of matters, right? We don't want to suffer. Every one of us, we don't want to suffer, and we want to, in fact, we also don't want to see other suffering as well, So how do we come out of that, So that is the Noble Eightfold Path. So our application of mind should be around this, How can I, morning till evening, in my day-to-day life, because Eightfold Path is nothing but part of our day-to-day life, how do we spend our day daily in terms of our action. That is the Eightfold Path, So how do we practically look at our own suffering, and how we are able to decrease the suffering? This is something that we need to apply our mind to. So this is the first one, which is seeing, understanding, right? So now it is at this level, it is about just understanding, but understanding it only itself is not enough. So there is some more way, the second one, which is by restraint. And what is this? And what are the defilements that should be given up by restraint? Take a mendicant who, reflecting rationally, lives restraining the faculty of the eye, for the distress and feverish defilement that might arise in someone who lives without restraint of the eye faculty do not arise when there is such restraint. Reflecting rationally, they live restrain the faculty of ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind, for the distressing and feverish defilement that might arise in someone who lives without restraint of the mind faculty do not arise when there is such a restraint. Okay, so second is the restraint. So what we call the samvara. So this is something very important through our six senses, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and also the thinking, the mind, the feeling, you can say, in the mind. So how do we restrain? Which means we have to have a kind of, you can say, a moderation, right? So we need to know our boundaries, right? You can call it the boundaries, right? As Buddha calls it gochara, gochara. Gochara means just like the cows, they can graze on a meadow which is within certain limit. So something like that, we have to live with certain kind of limit, you can call it, or moderation in our day-to-day life. What we are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, everything, right? We can take the simple example of food, right? So you can say the food. So how do we, these days, everybody speaks about dieting, no junk, all of that, right? So this is one example. In the same way, or everything, the music that we hear, the movie we watch or we see, or, I don't know, the perfume as well. I'm not very expert in perfume because we don't apply. And the touch, the kind of touch, I don't know, it may include the hugging, or I don't know, even shaking hand or whatever. And the kind of thought we are thinking in the mind. So basically the six senses, very important. So these are our day-to-day practical life, So our life is all revolving around these six senses. Six senses is our life. So we have to be very practical in terms of where do we put our senses, right, to the respective arambana, object, which is form, sound, taste, smell, and touch and thought. So this is very important, right? So if you are not careful, if you are not restraining, sometimes you may say, oh, I want freedom and I want to do whatever I want. Well, good, but then there is a price you need to pay, right? You have to pay a price for your freedom you can say the uncontrolled freedom, right? See, even if you look at the word freedom, right? When you say freedom, which means what is freedom, right? Which means there is a limit, and within the limit you are free to do. If there is no limit, then the word freedom doesn't come at all, right? If you say about freedom, right, there is a limit. That's why the concept of freedom is there. But if you are saying a freedom and do whatever, then you are not actually freedom. You are not free. You are enslaved. You are slave, right, of your own cankers, asava, as Buddha said. So very important to restrain in our day-to-day life. So Buddha is very practical and rational here. Right? He's not saying just sit for meditation every morning, some half an hour, do some puja on Sunday and you are done. He's not saying that. Okay, he's very practical. He really wants to be practical and see your own practical life. Which means you need to, and it's a little difficult, right? You don't want to restrain. You don't want to restrain, right? Because the pressure of the defilement, the canker is very strong. You don't want to, right? But as Buddha said, that is a hard battle which you can overcome, which you can achieve. It's a battle. It's a battle with this Mara, the defilement. So this is something that you need to do, but at the same time, you shouldn't be too hard on yourself. You don't need to be extreme, and you don't need to expect it overnight. It takes its own time. As Buddha said, it's a gradual path. It takes a time, and you need to be patient, and you don't need to become very much sad with yourself if you are sometime lose your restraint, right? Okay, so now that is one way of managing the defilements. And then number 3, giving by using. So, and what are the defilements should be given up by using? Take a mendicant who, reflecting rationally, make use of robe only for the sake of warding off cold and heat, for warding off the touch of flies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, reptiles, and for covering up the private parts. Reflecting rationally, they make use of almswood, not for fun, indulgence, or adornment, decoration, but only to sustain this body, to avoid harm, and to support spiritual practice. In this way, I shall put an end to discomfort and not to give rise to new discomfort, and I'll have the means to keep going, blamelessness and a comfortable abiding. Reflecting rationally, they make use of lodging only for the sake of warding off cold and heat, for warding off the touch of flies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and reptiles, to shelter from harsh weather and to enjoy the retreat. Reflecting rationally, they make use of the medicine and supply for the sick only for the sake of warding off the pain of illness and to promote good health. For the distressing feverish defilement that might arise in someone who lives without using these things do not arise when they are used. These are called the defilement that should be given up by using. Okay, so this is about using. So what are the things we use? Of course, this is spoken to monk, but you can. It can also be for the common people as well, lay people as well. So 4 thing, that is roti, kapda, makan. That is food, cloth, and house and health. This we just need 4 things. That is the basic need, for these 4 things: food, clothes, shelter, and medicine. So, how do you use it, right? So, Buddha is saying, first of all, you because these are something that you have to use it. Right? Even if you are a monk or no monk or anybody, every human being, they need to use these 4 things. It's not option. It's not option. It is mandatory to exist, right? So, for example, you use this cloth. The first one is a cloth. So why you use a cloth? to, as Buddha mentioned here, cold, heat, mosquito and all of that, and to, keep your respect. So, for that you use cloth, isn't it? So, that is the purpose of cloth. But otherwise, if you are more than that, if you are too much into clothing, then it's a problem. And that's what we see in today's time. The clothing thing has become such a thing where you have full of cloth, but you still don't find a cloth. that is the situation, right? So it is so much a thing, and as we know, environmentally it is also so much a problem. And so therefore, make your clothing simple, right? It doesn't mean that you don't put on nice clothes, of course you can, but don't make it such a thing that you have to so much be with it all the time. You have to spend so much time on shopping, scrolling, and the color, the size, the this and that, and then every season you need a different cloth. For every festival you need a different cloth. Yesterday one of the devotee came. He's more 70 plus. 70 more plus, and his wife is around same age, something 65, and he was complaining that his wife has full of sari, cloth full, but still she is thinking of purchasing another sari, So and most of the sari she just used 1 or 2 times, right? And I was wondering, at that age, still it is. I was thinking, oh my God! So that's something very. I heard I thought it was just for the young, but you never become young, old. Huh? You don't become old. You are always young. So you can see that your clothing is, the fashion industry is there, all of that. So much. So you see, forget about spirituality. Just look at how much it has put the pressure on the earth itself, on the environment itself, on the, so on the nature. It's huge, clothing is huge. So you can see that is a big problem, So make it simple, try to make it more and more simple. So as a monk, we put this cloth, right? So we have just one color, no design, so it's simple. So someday you may wonder, why you are using one dress, and why do you shave your hair? And of course the hair, again, big industry, big this thing, big that, So it's simple, right? So we don't have a problem size. If you put on weight or put less weight, still does. You just fold it and you are done, right? You don't have a problem. So anyway, you don't need to be like a monk, but at least make your clothing a bit simpler, right? Don't put so much money, effort, time on your clothes. Just try to make it a bit simpler, right? So because with that you have all the defilement comes, right? So see one of the problem, you see, that another thing which that man yesterday mentioned is that when you go with a new cloth, or maybe you repeat the cloth, say 1 or 2 times, so you get a comment from another lady, saying, oh, she's wearing the same cloth 1 or 2 times. That's a big sadness, right? That is a big, because you don't want it to repeat the cloth again. The repeating cloth is seen as something not a good thing, right? So you can see lot of thing that can happen in the mind. You have some outfit, and some people comment, oh, it's not so good, or someone say, oh, it's great, but some, oh, it's not good. So then you get a misreaction. Oh, I think the color is okay, but this, whatever, right? So it's such a loop that you go into. So also food, food is such something that you have to try to make your food thing much more simple. So that you don't become, so also food, clothes, so also medicine, right? Even medicine also becomes so much a complicated thing. Okay, so you use it just for the purpose, just for the sake of your own sustenance, your own health, that much, right? Not to make it such a big thing. Because a lot of your time goes into it, and then you might get some happiness, but it's not going to give you so much happiness, because you are not training your mind. You're just spoiling your mind, right? In that your mind gets spoiled. Your mind gets more and more these things. So that's why. Number 4, defilement giving by enduring. And what are the defilement that should be given up by enduring? Take a mendicant who, reflecting rationally, endures cold, heat, hunger, and thirst. They endure the touch of flies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and flies. They endure rude and unwelcome criticism, and they put up with physical pain, sharp, severe, acute, unpleasant, disagreeable, and life-threatening. For the distressing and feverish defilement that might arise in someone who lives without enduring these things do not arise when they are endured. These are called the defilements that should be given up by enduring. So number 4 is endurance. It's very, very important. So you endure all kinds of things, right? A lot of things like physical things. Sometimes you have pain because of some sickness. Sometimes you have cold, sometimes heat, thirst, whatever, some mosquito, wind, sun, all of that, natural thing, Then there is some criticism. Sometimes you get, some people say some nasty thing to you, and then sometimes you have some pain, very sharp, in some stomach pain, some headache, some this, that, which even trying to almost like taking your life. So you kind of endure. It's very important to endure. Even in meditation, sometimes, you can, some pain. So some pain you can, I think you can practice to endure, right? Just observe and let go. So that might help you. So also in your day-to-day life, right? So you have to practice endurance. Because when you endure, then you are not troubled by the difficulties of life, because there are a lot of things in life which are difficult, right, for everybody. Even if you're physically, everything is arranged, but some sickness comes, somebody put some comment, so you endure, right? You let go. It's difficult, but you let go, right? Because sometimes your ego, right? Oh, how can they say? I have to tell it back, on their face, comment or whatever, right? So that can just kind of comes in a gushing, like a gushing water, right? So you have to, okay, get it. Just observe. It's coming, it's there, it's emotion. Just for for few minutes, if you just watch, let go, it's gone, right? So like this, we do that. And hunger and thirst also, because sometimes, we just don't endure this kind of natural thing as well. Okay, number 5, defilement by avoiding. And what are the defilements that should be given up by avoiding? Take a mendicant who, reflecting rationally, avoids a wild elephant, a wild horse, a wild ox, a wild dog, a snake, a stump, thorny ground, a pit, a cliff, a swamp, and a sewer. Reflecting rationally, they avoid sitting on inappropriate seats, walking in an inappropriate neighborhood, and mixing with bad friends, whatever sensible spiritual companion would believe to be a bad setting. For the distressing and feverish defilement that might arise in someone who lives without avoiding these things do not arise when they are avoided. These are called the defilement that should be given up by avoiding. So, number fifth is by avoiding. How you can manage your defilement, your own unhealthy, negative, this kind of thing, by avoiding. So, what you do is you don't do certain things which are not a very suitable thing, right? All these things the Buddha mentioned here, including certain neighborhood, certain seat, certain this, certain people. So you have to see what place, what kind of people, what kinds of activities are appropriate and inappropriate, which means what are those activities which might give rise to this defilement, this kind of defilements, this kind of negativity, or some kind of very wrong kind of mind, where your mind will become very discomfort, your mind will become negative, and all of that. So this kind of avoiding. So you have to avoid such places and come to Buddha temple on every Sunday. So that will be a good one, right? Okay, so we are left with another two. Defilement given up by dispelling. And what are the defilements that should be given up by dispelling? Take a mendicant who, reflecting rationally, doesn't tolerate a sensual, malicious, or cruel thought that has arisen but gives it up, gets rid of it, eliminates it, and obliterates it. They don't tolerate any bad, unskillful qualities that have arisen, but give them up, get rid of them, eliminate them, and obliterate them. For the distressing and feverish defilement that might arise in someone who lives without dispelling these things do not arise when they are dispelled. These are called the defilement that should be given up by dispelling. So which means giving up, letting go. So any kinds of three things, that is three kinds of thought. First is the sensual thought, and then malicious, that is cruel, harming somebody, that kind of thought. So what you do is you give it up, you just, it comes, okay, it comes, it's okay, it comes, but you watch them, you know them, and you let them go. And you just get rid of that, right? Any kind of negative mind that comes in your mind. The seventh one, defilements given up by developing. So now it was all about giving up, a lot of giving up, but now finally something to be developed, something not to be given up, but by what are they? It's when these 7 factors of enlightenment, which is develops the awakening effect of mindfulness, investigation of the things, the dhammas, energy, rapture, tranquility, immersion, samadhi, and equanimity, which rely on seclusion, fading away, and cessation, and ripen as letting go. So you practice the 7 factors of enlightenment, awakening. What are these? Mindfulness, investigation, which is knowing, and energy, that is putting forth effort to develop good mind. Then rapture, which means you are joyful, you are peaceful. Tranquility, the serenity of mind. And samadhi, stability of mind. And equanimity, which is a mind that is totally settled, And how they come from seclusion, by avoiding and something, such kind of proliferation, and fading away. You fade away, all this kind of negative mind, and cessation, and ripen as letting go. So you let go, So ultimately, you become a person who has this letting go as a natural, you can say, instinct, or natural instinct. So you let go, which means you are free. You are totally free, and you are happy. And it's not a state which is something we can call indifferent. It is not indifferent, but it is equanimous. It is letting go. It is tranquility. It is that state. It's a very, very peaceful state. It's not a very sad or indifferent kind of state. Okay, so Buddha wraps it up by this final paragraph. Now take a mendicant who by seeing has given up the defilement that should be given up by seeing, by restraint. They have given up the defilement that should be given up by restraint, which is number 2. Then they should be given up by using the rightly all the things that we use, and then enduring, we endure, tolerate, and then we avoid the places and people, things like that, and activities. And then we dispel from our heart any kinds of negative, cruel, sensual thoughts. And then we give up, then we develop these 7 factors of enlightenment. And then they are called a mendicant who lives having restrained all defilements, who have cut off craving, cast off the fetter, and rightly comprehending conceit has made an end of suffering. So this is what the Buddha said. So ending of suffering. So finally you end your suffering. So you can see here that the ending of suffering, is a goal, and this is something you achieve by what Buddha has mentioned today. So with this, I conclude this talk today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.